Good morning, children. Children, let us proceed with the line-by-line explanation of the chapter, The Address by Marga Minco. Children, yesterday I had explained to you the conditions prevailing during the World War II and how the Jews were maltreated by the Germans. We also read that the author had returned after the war in order to claim the belongings of her mother. They had left the country and had gone into hiding, but the mother, Mrs. S, had left all her belongings with their non-Jewish neighbor. And now, when the war had come to an end and when the situations were normal, the author had come back to claim her belongings. When she knocked at the door of her neighbor, what reply did she give? "Have you come back?" said the woman. I thought that no one had come back. To this, what reply did the narrator give? Only me. So we had read till here, children. Let us proceed with the further explanation. I am reading on page 11, children. Please keep a pencil also in your hand so that as and when we come across any new word or phrase, you may underline it. So let us continue. A door opened and closed in the passage behind her. A musty smell emerged. "I regret I cannot do anything for you. I have come here specially on the train. I wanted to talk to you for a moment." Now, finally, when the narrator told that only she had come, the neighbor, she opened the door and showed the courtesy at least to come out. And there was a damp smell that was coming from inside her house. And after coming out, what did she tell the narrator? "I regret, I'm sorry." Regret, please underline the word regret, children. It means that I am sorry, I cannot do anything for you. The narrator said that I have come here specially on the train. I wanted to talk to you for a moment, so please allow me. "It is not convenient for me now," said the woman. "I can't see you another time." She did not even welcome her, and very rudely she said that it's not a convenient time for me now. I'm not free. I cannot see you right at the moment. Maybe some other day. She nodded and cautiously closed the door as though no one inside the house should be disturbed. Finally, the lady, she closed the door and what did she do? She went inside very carefully that nobody in the house should get disturbed. She paid no attention to the narrator, and she did not give any importance to her, even when she told that she had come specially to meet her and talk to her. I stood where I was on the step. The curtain in front of the bay window moved. Someone stared at me and would then have asked what I wanted. "Oh, nothing," the woman would have said. "It was nothing." Now, the narrator, she kept on standing over there. Maybe she had a little hope that the door would open again and the woman would entertain her, would talk to her, would give her a little time. But nothing of the like happened. In fact, somebody was there from inside the house staring through the window. Children, bay window means a window that opens to the garden. Okay, so the outside view is clear. So somebody was staring from there. And if this lady would have asked her that who is she, who is there at the door, this lady, the host, would have said that, "Oh, it's nothing, nobody is there." I looked at the nameplate again. Dorothy, it said, in black letters on white enamel, and on the jamb a bit higher, the number 46. Now, the narrator, she did not give her give up her hopes. She was still standing there. Maybe she was expecting the lady to come out again, but finally she gave a look at the nameplate, and what was written on it? Dawdling, it said. In black letters it was written Dawdling, in white enamel, in white paint, and the jamb. Children, jamb, please underline, is the side surface of a doorway for fireplace. Okay, so it's the side surface of a doorway, the fireplace, for fireplace it is. The address was 46 Dawdlings. As I walked slowly back to the station, I thought about my mother, who had given me the address years ago. It had been in the first half of the war. Children, I have already told you in the introduction that the story deals with the pre-war and the post-war conditions. So, now that the narrator had paid a visit to the Dawdlings, it was during the post-war times. Now she is thinking when the situations were, there was a lot of turmoil, there was a lot of disturbance, there was a war going on. And that time, what did the mother of the author do? She had handed over all her belongings to this non-Jewish neighbor, Mrs. Dawdling. So the author, the narrator, started thinking of those days. As I walked slowly back to the station, I thought about my mother, who had given me the address years ago. And the mother gave the address in hope that once the situations become normal, my daughter would go back to this address and claim the belongings. It had been in the first half of the war. I was home for a few days, and it struck me immediately that something or other about the rooms had changed. Now, she is remembering those days, when the mother used to live here at this very place that she visited, and Mrs. Dawdlings was in their neighborhood. And the daughter was not living with the mother, Mrs. S. So she had come to pay her a visit. The daughter had paid a visit to her mother. And when she noticed the settings of the room, what did she find? That many things have changed. Something or the other about the rooms had changed. I missed various things. My mother was surprised. I should have noticed so quickly. Then she told me about Mrs. Dawdling. Now, the daughter had noticed the changes that were in the room. And the mother was very surprised that how come she is not even staying here, and had minutely noticed the changes. And then the mother told about Mrs. Dawdling, who was staying in the neighborhood. I had never heard of her, but apparently she was an old acquaintance of my mother. Now, during their talks between the mother and the daughter, the topic of Mrs. Dawdling had never come up. But then that day, the mother talked about Mrs. Dawdling, and what did she say? That she is an old acquaintance. I know her since long. So, acquaintance means somebody whom you know, children, okay, familiar with. Since then, she had come regularly. She had suddenly turned up and renewed their contact. So, now that she has come to live in the neighborhood, they were again in good talking terms with each other. They were, renewed their contact means they were again in terms with each other. And since then, she had paid a regular visit to their house. Every time she leaves here, she takes something home with her, said my mother. She took all the table silver in one go, and then the antique plates that hung there. Now, what is the mother saying? That every time she pays us a visit, she takes some or the other things with her. So, whenever she leaves, she picks up or she takes along with her some or the other things that belong to them. She took the table silvers at one time, and she also took away the antique plates. She had trouble lugging those large vases, and I am worried she got a crick on her back. Lugging means, children, to carry or to drag with great effort or difficulty. You know, those vases, they were very heavy. They were all decorative items. They were antique pieces, quite expensive, unique. And so, when Mrs. Dorling would pull them with great difficulty, it was not easy for her to carry. But still, you know, she did not give up. She used to take them along with her. And she also took the crockery. My mother shook her head pityingly. Pityingly means she was feeling sorry. Though she did not like that all this was happening, but she could not help. She had to allow herself to let Mrs. Dorling carry away the belongings, their belongings. I would never have dared ask her. She suggested it to me herself. She even insisted. She wanted to save all my nice things. If we have to leave here, we shall lose everything, she says. So what is the mother saying? The mother is, giving a kind of an explanation. She's saying that I would never have dared ask her. She said that I wouldn't have asked her to carry all these things, but she herself had offered help. She said that the war is going on and the conditions were not very suitable for the Jewish settlements here. So anything could happen. The situations at times were very uncertain. And so she used to carry all the things with her, saying that she would preserve them for me. She wanted to save all my nice things. Please underline. So she is saying that I am carrying these things along with me with an intention to save all this for you. If we have to leave here, we shall lose everything, she says. She says that if you have to leave all these things behind, you would lose everything. So it's better you keep them with me. Who is offering this help? Mrs. Dorling. Have you agreed with her that she should keep everything? I asked. Now the narrator was quite shocked. So what did she say? That did you agree that she could pick up everything? Did you agree to it? And the daughter was highly surprised. As if that's necessary, my mother cried. It would simply be an insult to talk like that. And think about the risk she is running. Each time she goes out of our door with a full suitcase or bag. Now the mother here is defending what Mrs. Dorling is doing. Okay. She is trying to convince the daughter also at the same time. Now what is she saying? That if I ask her, won't it be a kind of an insult? Here she is trying to help us, and here I would question her authenticity. That cannot be. And also think of the risk she is running herself into. Every time she is paying us a visit and she is carrying back these things to her home, the suitcase is full and she is dragging it, she is running herself into so much risk, but still she is helping us. So I cannot question her authenticity. Now what can you say about the mother from here, children? Well, you will be able to understand the character of the mother, the character of Mrs. Dorling and the narrator after we read a little more. My mother seemed to notice that I was not entirely convinced. She looked at me reprovingly, and after that we spoke no more about it. Now reprovingly means, children, in a way to criticize. Okay, in a critical manner she was talking to the daughter. Now after all, a mother is a mother and a daughter is a daughter. Okay. Now the daughter questioning the mother or asking for an explanation for what she is doing is like a kind of a disrespect to the mother, right? So the mother, she seemed to notice that I was not entirely convinced. Even the mother could see that the daughter is not entirely, completely convinced with the explanation that she had given, but still she did not bother. The mother did not bother to convince the daughter further. She was looking at her critically as if she was criticizing her approach, and then they suspended the topic. Nobody spoke or commented anything on it. Meanwhile, I had arrived at the station. Okay, now this paragraph that we just read, children, on page 11, paragraph, second last paragraph and the last paragraph and the first paragraph on page 12, she was thinking about the past and now she's back to the present. Meanwhile, I had arrived at the station without having paid much attention to things on the way. I was walking in familiar places again for the first time since the war. Please underline, very, very important. Now, while she was going back to the station, she did not pay much attention to the things on the way. Why? Because she was already lost in her own thoughts. Now that she was back out of her thoughts, she was noticing that I am again walking in those familiar places where I once used to be, and that was years ago. And this was the first time I have come since the war. But I did not want to go further than was necessary. I didn't want to upset myself with the sight of streets and houses full of memories from a precious time. Please underline, children. In the introduction, I had told you, children, that the chapter, it talks about, what was the word that I had used for? It talks about, you have to think of that word. I am just putting a dash over here and you will be replying it to me. You have to inbox me. Okay, which means, preserving the past. But at the same time, we should be able to, let go those memories which are painful. So the daughter, even she was here, she was filtering all the thoughts. She did not let everything sink inside her, but because they were upsetting her. The first experience that she got at the Dawdlings was very, very upsetting, and hence she did not dare to wander further. She did not go here and there, lest those memories revived those, everything that she was seeing would revive the painful memories of the past. So she did not dare to wander further. In the train back, I saw Mrs. Dawdling in front of me again, as I had the first time I met her. It was the morning after the day my mother had told me about her. Okay, again she is back to the past, children. I had got up late and coming downstairs, I saw my mother about to see someone out, a woman with a broad back. Now that day when she was going back, the daughter happened to see Mrs. Dawdling in front of her again. Okay? And I had got up late and coming downstairs, I saw my mother about to see someone out. That day, her mother was about to meet someone outside, a woman with a broad back. So she remembered that this was the same woman to whom my mother had spoken that day. And here I am seeing Mrs. Dawdling in front of me again. Okay, children, I shall stop here the explanation. All of you please read till where I have read, and if there is any doubt, please ask me. Children, I will be sharing a worksheet with you which you are expected to solve and submit timely. Thank you, class.